Dr. Yoni Witten here, and this week we're talking all about whole body vibration. And ever since I did my first webinar where I spoke about how I use whole body vibration to improve mobility, to drive up kinetic flow, and to get rid of chronic pain, I've had a lot of people asking me about it. Well, recently I got to sit down with Dr. Jason Conviser, who's an exercise physiologist and an expert on whole body vibration. And we did a deep dive into the subject and talked about how this technology that was developed specifically for astronauts can be so beneficial to you and I here on planet Earth. And what I found out was absolutely incredible. Now, if you struggle with chronic pain, chronic stiffness and mobility restrictions, if you have low bone density or osteoporosis, if you have balance problems or you're at risk for falling, or if you just want to improve your fitness and strength levels, you need to see this information. I really hope that you guys enjoy this interview. Let's jump into this. Very excited to have our guest, Dr. Jason Conviser, with us. Jason is a PhD in exercise physiology, and I'm going to allow him to introduce himself so that I don't get myself into hot water right off the start here.
Thank you very
Welcome,
much. It's
Jason.
an absolute pleasure to be here. And at the risk of over speaking about myself, my PhD is in exercise physiology. I specialize in what I consider sports medicine for mature individuals. I want everyone that I work with to be an athlete at whatever level they can handle. Even if you have a second heart, a second set of hips, a knee replacement, even if you have Parkinson's or multiple sclerosis, even if you're having difficulty with some physicality, I want to treat you as an athlete. So I have 9 books that are out there about medical fitness, and they're all focused on not just the science, but what do you do to get from where you are to where you want to be, so that ADLs, or activities of daily living, are back to your comfort level, so you can enjoy all the things that you've achieved in your lifetime. And today's podcast is about whole body vibration, and I use power plate, and how does vibration help with performance and warm up and pain and all the issues that hopefully your folks are interested in talking about.
Well, that's awesome. I'm so excited to have you here because I am an exercise physiology geek myself. My undergraduate degree is in kinesiology, and I'm a lifelong athlete. And my specialty is in rehabilitation and making activities of daily life easier for people as well. So
We're in the same place.
Yes, sir. We are of the same mind, and that's one of the reasons why I was super excited to get you on and able to speak to my audience. So, like you said, we're starting out with whole body vibration today, and what I would like you to start off with, if you would, is what is whole body vibration, and kind of when was it developed? You know, we're hearing a lot about it now, but my understanding is that it's actually been around for quite a long time. So if you could speak to that.
So it's 3 different questions. So it's been around since the late 1950s and early 60s. The 2 major stories about how it was used was in the first space flights. We put people in space, we put them in a weightless environment, and they come back to Earth and they can't walk. You never see someone land and then walking away from the spacecraft, because in a weightless environment, their muscles are inactive, their bones become porous. It may be the hardest thing that we can do to the body is put someone in space. So with our space station and with putting people in space now for years, for months and months, how do we keep their muscles and how do we keep their bones strong? We do it with vibration. And that first started in the late 1950s and early 1960s. From an athletic standpoint, it was really used with skaters. And it was used for skaters for a couple different reasons. One is, after the oval is cleaned up for the next round of skaters, they say, thank you very much. You may be up in an hour or an hour and a half before your time on the ice. So how do you stay warmed up? How do you keep the muscles loose, pliable, flexible? How do you stay warm? Mm-hmm. And also, how do you make the muscles perform better? And when I teach a class, I always use a rubber band as an example.
Okay.
And the skaters taught us this, that if you take a rubber band and you pull it apart and let go, it snaps. It has a certain amount of force production.
Sure.
But with vibration, it keeps the muscles warm so you can pull the muscles further. And then when it's ready to fire, it has more force production. So they found out that they could warm up and be better if they have to go immediately onto the ice to perform. And they can also perform well if they have to wait a half hour, an hour. They just keep on vibration so that their muscles stay active. And then people were real creative with how to adapt it to all different kinds of environments.
Absolutely. What's fascinating about it is I've been using vibration in my clinical practice on a daily basis for like the last 13 or 14 years. And I always consider it my crystal ball, because it allows me to, if I can put somebody who has, say, structural deterioration, and I get them on top of that vibration platform and I change their position for a period of time, and then I can retest their functionality and predict how they're going to perform once I take the time to get them into that position.
You got it. That's exactly how it should be used. And it allows for the creativity of the practitioner to work with a client. And it also works with clients who have a variety of different limitations to be active when they can't use traditional pieces of equipment. It's not the only piece of equipment. It's used with other pieces of equipment for some people. And for others, it could be used alone. And that's the best part of it, is it's the creativity of the practitioner that knows when to pull and push, when to use it more, use it less. But it's always something from the Olympic athlete, and some of the Olympic teams actually travel with a power plate, to my clientele who might be 90 or 95, who they want to make sure that they don't fall. They have better balance. They want to make sure that they can feel their feet. They might have peripheral neuropathies.
Sure.
I have a client who's a member of one of the major symphonies in the world and uses vibration in order to keep their hands warm and pliable so that they can play their instrument. It's only limited by the limitations of the practitioner and the client.
Oh, I love it. I love how you said it. I would like for you to explain to the audience how vibration works. What's the mechanism of action in the body?
So I'm going to talk about it in a couple different ways.
Okay.
The first is how I would explain it when I teach junior high or high school. And I take a box of spaghetti.
Okay.
And I take the spaghetti out of the box and I go, if you look at the spaghetti in cross section, that's exactly the way a muscle looks like. It has all these little muscle fibers.
Sure.
And if you try to bend that spaghetti, it becomes very brittle and breaks.
Mm-hmm.
But if you put warm water over it, it becomes very loose and pliable. Mm-hmm. Now, let's go back to the body and talk about the muscles. And I go, if you try to bend or put force on the muscles when they're cold, the risk of injury is much greater. But if you put warm blood over the body, if you warm up, then the muscles are much more easily manipulated, more flexible. Mm-hmm. And not only are you safer when you exercise, but you have more capacity for force production. That mm-hmm. same analogy with pulling the rubber band further apart and stretching. Mm-hmm. So the first part is it allows the muscles to warm up efficiently, quickly, and if necessary, to keep your body warm while you're exercising. Mm-hmm. Now, one step up in terms of mechanism.
Okay.
Every muscle in the body does not attach to bone. Tendons attach to bone. Sure. Muscles attach to tendons. Tendons attach to bone. Okay. So the Golgi tendon organ is a very small hair size stretch receptor in the tendon that tells us how much stretch or how much tension is on the muscle. The more tension that's on the muscle, the Golgi tendon organ basically says, I better protect you from hurting yourself. I'm going to keep you very, very tight so you don't go past that point where you could tear a muscle or hurt yourself. Mm-hmm. But if you warm up and the Golgi tendon organ sees that this stretch response, that it's slowly stretching out, mm-hmm. and you're controlling the warm-up, you're controlling the physical contraction, then the Golgi tendon will allow you to go further and further and further. That's the key.
That's beautiful. And what I love about it, and how I've always thought of it, is you're ramping up safety signals in the brain by sending this predictable signal repetitiously.
That's absolutely.
So that's like the neurological mechanism, the proprioception. It's like you're lulling the brain into this expectation where it's the same. So you're just getting reps after reps after reps. And every one of those reps is accompanied by a muscular contraction and then a muscular relaxation, which gives you that amazing blood flow and pumping mechanism. I love what you said there, because it goes hand in hand with your body allowing you to go further because it feels safe, and because the tissue's warmed up, and because it knows you can handle it.
So you said at the beginning, which is right. You and I have been users of whole body vibration for a long time.
Yes.
Last year, the American College of Sports Medicine came out with the 5th edition of the facility guidelines for health and fitness facilities for people. And one of the sections is what's the standard equipment set for a facility. Okay. And for the first time, the ACSM has said whole body vibration equipment should be part of the standard package, with treadmills and free weights and with stack weights. So it's not just a thing that maybe you or maybe I use. Now our industry needs to incorporate whole body vibration. And the reason I use power plate, I'm sure we'll talk about it, is sure, because of the way the vibration is presented. Yes. It's a comfortable, more appropriate way of bringing vibration up into the body, so it's not so jarring or challenging to the body.
So I love that, and you soft pitch softball me right into my next question, which is that not all vibration units are the same. They don't all deliver the same type of stimulus. So if you could talk about the different types of vibration, what are they, and kind of what's the difference?
So there's really 3 different kinds. The first 2 are very limiting because you can only use them in very limited ways, and the third is much more flexible based upon an Olympic athlete all the way up to the 90, 95-year-old. So there's one vibration kind of philosophy of just having a plate that goes up and down.
Okay.
There's very few of those machines left in the world. The second is what's called a teeter-totter, where it just goes side to side, side to side.
So
and if you're perfectly balanced over...
The second one that you're talking about.
Exactly right.
Central pivot, and the first is a vertical displacement.
Correct. Okay. And the second, if you're on it and you're perfectly placed, that's fine, but it's very jarring. It's almost like being in a car and driving over a speed bump. It hits you hard, and there's not a lot of flexibility. You can't work with it when you're lying on the floor. You can't work with it where you move around the platform. If somebody is uncomfortable with their body to begin with, you certainly don't want to put them on a platform that makes them more uncomfortable.
100%. The
triplanar concept has up, down, side, side, forward, back. Oh. So when you look at it, when it's on, it doesn't look as if it's moving at all. But when you're standing on it, you feel a very steady, even vibration, whether you're standing on the far left or the far right, you stand forward or back, whether you're laying on the ground and just have your legs resting on it, whether you're balancing with one foot. If you're rehabbing an injury, you can have more force for one limb than the other. It gives you the flexibility so everyone can use it the way that's appropriate. An analogous is a treadmill. You could have the fastest runner in the world on a treadmill, and you could have someone who has never run before, but the belt moves and it allows you to use it at your capacity, at your needs and your interest. I would imagine when you have clients come to your facilities, everyone comes with a different story, and they only care about, I want to feel better. I want to do better. I don't like where I am. I want to be able to do something else. Yeah. And with triplanar, it allows me to work with 450-pound clients, with clients who have trouble with Parkinson's and balance. It allows me to do all kinds of creative things with young athletes, middle-aged weekend athletes, and those who are just trying to keep moving. I don't have a financial investment in TriPlanner. I just know that it works, and it works better than anything else. And I've tried everything else.
Yes.
And that's what I have in my clinics.
Sure. Well, I can tell you from experience that I've been on those central pivoting machines, and they are irritating. It's not a good feeling being on the central pivoting machines.
One of the things with our clients, what we want to make sure is that they don't just come the first day. They want to come back,
Sure.
because when they're done with their session, whatever their session might be, they go, I'm better than when I walked in at the beginning. And if I can get that experience, whether they have one at home, whether they come to a clinic for a short period of time for a specific program, whether they're using it for an ongoing program, they go, I can't achieve what I'm trying to achieve without it. And when I give my sales presentation to clients, I say, it helps you prepare or warm up. It helps you perform or do better, and it helps you recover. And if you can do prepare, perform, and recover, then I look like I'm a really smart clinician, and my clients tell other people about it.
Sure. It's a good business model.
I hope so.
I'd like for you to, you talked a little bit about force production and a couple of areas that I'd like to get into that are really exciting about whole body vibration that unfortunately don't receive a lot of attention in conventional medicine or in mainstream media are things like bone mineral density preservation and just general bone health. Could you speak to that and how it relates? You touched on it in the beginning with the original development back in the 50s being tailored specifically to prevent bone loss in astronauts. So could you speak to that?
So I'm going to start with my junior high and high school demo, but it works every time.
I love it.
And I walk into a class with 25 number 2 yellow pencils, and I have a rubber band around it. And I go, this is what your bones look like when you're 20 years old. You have all these pencils. I go, but every year as you get older, you pull one pencil away, you pull one pencil away. And it's not a problem until you pull so many away that the bone becomes loose or it becomes porous. Bone porosis or pores. So how do we make the bone stay strong? And we've known this in the research since 150, 160 years ago, that you have to put the bone under force. Mm-hmm. The problem is you can't weight lift enough for the average person to put the force, to put the bone under that much force so that it will continue to grow strong or maintain its strength. There's an interesting group in New Zealand that has shown that they can do weightlifting and maintain bone density. But the ladies are exercising an hour and a half a day, 3 days a week, and lifting really heavy. Yeah. Well, if you have 3 days a week of 90 minutes each, and you want to lift really heavy, God love you, that's wonderful. But my clients go, I'm not going to do that. Mm-hmm. So how can I use equipment that has a shorter period of time, still creates the force on the bone so the bone mechanism gets stronger and stronger or doesn't lose as quickly? And that's what one of the things that vibration does, because when the muscle contracts, it pulls on the tendon is attached to the bone, and the pulling and pulling and pulling allows the bone to stay strong. Now we'll step it up one level.
Right.
Every bone in general is made up of 2 different levels: the cortical, or the outside part of the bone, and the trabecular, the inside, the lattice structure that gives it its strength. Mm-hmm. So when individuals are taking drugs in general, they take them for 18 to 36 months, and it builds up the cortical bone on the outside.
Oh, just to jump in there, Jason, that's people that are taking drugs specifically to combat osteoporosis.
That's correct. Okay. That's correct. So it's like in Chicago, we have 2 seasons. We have summer and potholes. Okay. Because in the winter, we're filling potholes, and it's always filling those potholes, filling the potholes, or filling the outside of the bone. But what you really want to do is the understructure.
Sure.
You want to keep that trabecular part of the bone strong.
Mhm.
And with vibration, that's what is also exercising or being stimulated. The literature is pretty clear that individuals who are exposed to vibration, it is a strong deterrent to the bone getting weak or osteoporosis or maintaining bone health.
Mhm.
But it's part of a program, not the only program.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love what you said there. I had seen data a while back that showed that the Soviets were using the vibration extensively, I believe before Americans were using it, and that their cosmonauts were able to stay in space something like 3 times longer than our astronauts, specifically because they were doing vibration training so extensively.
I'm going to give you what I know from the science and what I have to, as a scientist, what I have to be careful of.
Mhm.
I'm always careful about what the Soviets tell us about their research because I don't, I'm not really sure where it came from or who's interpreting it.
Okay.
Now, that being said, you're absolutely right that the Soviet cosmonauts clearly were ahead of us in terms of how they came out of a space capsule. If you remember the first astronauts in the U.S., we had them land in water and we never saw them walk. We had scuba divers jump out of helicopters, put them in a little boat. The little plastic boat was pulled up to the helicopter, and we didn't see them walk for 2 days.
Uh-huh.
But with the cosmonauts, they land in an open desert, an open area. Somebody pops the door, and 15, 20 minutes later, they're starting to be put onto their feet. It's not by luck. They have to have a much stronger bone structure that allowed them to be there.
Well, I
But
love I love what you said there, and I love what you said earlier about the wide spectrum of application there, because you're absolutely right. We've known forever that traditional weightlifting and adding load and force to bone helps increase bone density, but not everybody is even able to do that. So what I love about vibration is it, like you keep saying, it just gives you so many options.
when I first heard about whole body vibration, I had a friend who said, "Can you look at this technology?" And the intellectual part of me said, "You got to be nuts. This big vibrating machine, what can it possibly do that lifting weights, that running, that yoga, doing the traditional modalities of exercise can't do?"
Yes.
Then I started playing with it personally,
Yes.
starting working with clients who traditional exercise prescriptions weren't working very effectively. And I started being creative with how I use it, from massage to training to overload to recovery. And I go, oh my God, there's so many things that I can do here. With the power plates that we have, we've had clients who are some of the top figure skaters in the world. And we have had clients who have come in who are just under 500 pounds, and we've used it in ways that are specific to their needs. Um, and as you've known, that you always come up ways saying, "Oh my God, look at this person who didn't have confidence with their balance. This person whose feet were swelling at the end of the day because they worked on their feet all day. This individual who can't touch their knees because they're so tight,
Mhm.
but after exposure to a whole body vibration, they're much more flexible, and more flexible means safer."
Mhm.
It has so many applications that it's not just only for athletes or only for individuals who are uh, um, deconditioned.
Sure.
It's for everyone. It's limited only by the creativity of how it's used.
Well, I love that, and it sends me in the direction of my next question, which is, my audience is particularly interested in chronic pain, which is why I purchased my vibration platform originally. And like you, I started messing around with it myself. Also, like you, I'm a student of the old school. I like the tried and true stuff that works every day and twice on Sundays. And so I was fascinated with it. And one of the things that I loved about it is proprioceptive signaling coming from the body, pinging up to the brain, comes in at, traditionally, if you're standing on solid ground, something like 3 to 5 cycles a second. And if I get somebody on a vibration platform, geez, I can crank that up to 30 or 40 cycles a second and radically change position, radically change muscle firing patterns, ramp up those safety signals, And one of the things that I talk about with my audience all the time is what I call kinetic flow. Proprioception is part of that, and how proprioception and nociception, or subconscious pain signaling, operate on opposite ends of the same teeter-totter.
So first of all, I'm going to steal some of the ways that you just described it when I speak to groups, because you explained it perfectly. My clients come in and they may have their heads say, I want my leg to move, but they don't know how to make that signal work. They may want to do something and they can't get the muscles to contract the way that we talk about. So when we set the vibration pattern at maybe 30 hertz, that means the muscle fiber is firing at 30 times a second. The head doesn't get in the way. So we have a lot of clients that come into the office and they're uncomfortable. They hurt. They can't tell you why it hurts, but they can tell you their lower back hurts, their feet hurt, their body, they're lethargic. They describe pain at different numeric ways and different parts of their body.
Sure.
I think about pain as whether chronic pain, as whether muscles are functional or not functional. If it's a structural bony process that's broken, whole body vibration doesn't change that. But most chronic pain is a muscular conditioning or deconditioning situation. And what we're able to do is activate muscles without the brain being involved. When we set the platform at 30 or 35 or 40 hertz, that means the muscles are firing 30, 35, 40 times a second. And they fire in sequence, teaching the body not only how to fire the muscles, but then when you turn the vibration off, those muscles still have a learning effect. And hopefully that's going to help the individual during the session and when they leave. But it also has a massaging effect. Sometimes we use our power plates. We ask people to sit on the floor and lean back against the platform just for a massage. We use the power plates to increase flexibility, because the more that the hamstrings are pulling on the pelvic girdle, the more pressure that they have on the lower back. So when they come in and say, my back hurts, maybe their back is fine, but it's the muscles in the legs that are pulling so hard that their lower back hurts. Mm-hmm. Or maybe they have they come in with diabetes and they have a peripheral neuropathy and their legs are hurting. It could be as simple as massaging, because it's not just walking on your feet, because many of my type 2 diabetic clients, their feet and legs hurt all the time. But with vibration, there's both the massage and a muscular contraction duality that allows them to feel more comfortable, to exercise when they couldn't exercise in traditional manners.
Love what you said there. It's fantastic. I haven't heard it explained that way, where you're saying you're bypassing the brain by sending in the signal so much faster than it's used to hearing it. It's like the ultimate pattern interrupt for like breaking cycles that are in the body, whether it's a pain cycle or a performance cycle. It's so wildly different than what the body's used to. It just allows you to elevate things to a whole new level.
Don't get me wrong. I believe that lifting weights is important. I believe that yoga class is important. Walking or running on a treadmill, playing tennis, doing all kinds of activities. We're not taking any of those things away.
Sure.
However, how can you do it better? Or if those people who don't have the physicality to do them, how do you do them at all? Mm-hmm. Because they all want to move. The elite athlete wants to perform better. Yeah. My 90-year-old athletes, they still want to do things better.
Sure. Well, I love what you're saying there, because it's not, I always think of it like a carpenter's belt. You know, you've got your hammer, you've got your tape measure, you've got different kinds of screwdrivers and wrenches. Which one is the most important tool? Well, it depends on what you're trying to accomplish. But
I'll steal that from you, and I'll use that as well. That's a good analogy.
well, that's how I think of it, because I mean, everything that I have in my practice is just one more tool on my belt. And like you're saying, it's up to the clinician's creativity and knowing, hey, what's appropriate and what's not appropriate for this client, and what's their goal and what's their physical state, and then you determine which tool you're going to use. But you said there that we're not trying to throw out all the other tools and use this one tool, but how do we do things better? So I'm going to tee you off with another one here. So
Please.
fall prevention, because this is one area where I think whole body vibration does it better than any other tool.
Falls are the death sentence of our healthcare society, because we know about cardiovascular health, we know about respiratory health, but falls create a cascade of problems that just don't go away. And it's a terrible problem that we have. So how do we use whole body vibration? Again, this triplanar environment is what happens if we train the body to be off balance so it's comfortable to be off balance. We prepare the body to be pushed to the left, to push to the right, to be pushed forward, to be pulled back. If we're able to put them on the platform and constantly push their body to literally learn how to be safe in an unbalanced environment, that's the best thing in the world. And what we have with power plates is that you're in a safe environment, teaching the muscles how to go forward, back, up and down, without my telling you, now the vibration platform is going up, because the muscles are firing at 30, 40, 50 times a second.
Sure.
And the way that gets transferred is that when someone is walking out the door of your clinic, or going up, missing a stair when they go home, or stepping off a sidewalk and they miss a step, sure, and they have to quickly adjust their muscle contraction to catch themselves.
Yes.
They've been practicing it on the platform.
I'm going to just piggyback on what you said there, because you're exactly right on the money. What I'm always saying to my patients that I work with is you have to train these things on a subconscious level, because when something goes wrong, you're not going to have the time to react consciously. It's going to happen on the level that you train it at. So you better darn well be training on the subconscious level.
One of the things that I love to shoelace, I was standing up at a restaurant and someone bumped me. I was walking in, there's a small crack in the pavement and I didn't see it. I was looking at my phone and something happened. And they said, I didn't have time to think about moving to protect myself, because if you took the time to think about it, you'd already be on the ground.
That's right.
So you prepare the body to move without thinking. It's in a polite way, cutting off the head and teaching the muscles to fire when appropriate, and to also understand that when it's off balance, what muscle groups are necessary to fire to pull yourself back from that situation. So it's not just a reflexive answer, it's a balancing of which fibers pull at what time to keep you from continuing your fall. And you don't have to look very hard. The literature is clear with stories of balance being one of the one of the healthcare issues that we don't talk about, because it's not very sexy, no. But God, it's dangerous.
You're exactly right. And there's no way to address that on the back end. It has to be addressed from a prevention standpoint.
Well, I hope that everyone prevents the fall.
Yeah.
I also have a lot of clients who didn't prevent the fall and now have to go through rehab, and the rehab is much harder than preventing. Sure. But we also use it in the rehab part because we have to teach them not only physicality, but confidence. And the vibration is such a great tool that if people would come to my clinics, we don't have chairs for a waiting room. We have vibration platforms, and you go, get on the platform and warm up. Nice. I don't want you to sit down and wait for us to come out. Come on in, put your coat on the hanger and start moving. And that's one of the ways that that vibration can become part of the culture of movement and controlling their body instead of just another tool.
Oh, I am green with envy over here. I am absolutely green with envy, Dr. Conviser, because I desperately wanted to put treadmills in my waiting room because people, we've got this sedentary lifestyle, which is not that far off from astronauts in space in terms of physical degeneration with time. It happens quicker in space, but the mechanism is essentially the same. We lose muscle mass, we lose bone density, the body basically falls apart. So if we can get people moving, we can undo a lot of that stuff.
Probably in X amount of years, we're going to think about whole body vibration just like we do every other piece of equipment. But the literature in my mind is clear that we can be better physical beings when we have it at home, when we come home after a hard day. It may not be your clinic. We can use it in all different environments.
Yeah. One of the studies that I saw on balance and fall prevention was absolutely amazing. It was a long-term study, 18 months. They showed 50% less falls in the group that was on whole body vibration. And I was like, I mean, if you needed a bullet point for having whole body vibration as part of your fitness routine, and you're in that risk category where you need to worry about fall prevention, which, as you're saying, is a lot of people, 50% less falls is a huge number. And one of the things that I love about it is just the amount of reps that you can get. You're talking 40, 50 reps per second.
I want to share one research study that I'm very proud of. Is we did it a couple of years ago with Spring Point's senior assisted living centers in New Jersey. Mm-hmm. And we had a couple of different modalities of exercise, but one was whole body vibration. And after a 3-month use of whole body vibration twice a week, these individuals who walk in and you almost feel sorry for them. Their bodies are failing them. After the study was over, they talk about walking speed, walking distance, walking upstairs, walking downstairs, being able to reach down and pick up a grandchild, being able to go to the mall and being with their kids, things that may or may not be important to a 20-year-old. But what it shows is that for individuals who may not be able to exercise in a more traditional way, that vibration does train the muscles, does make the muscles stronger, does allow you to be able to get back to a place where deconditioning doesn't have to be your definition.
I love it. So we can add muscle mass, we can improve bone density and bone health, we can do fall prevention, we can increase power output, we can do all of these things with this one piece of equipment. Can you give me an idea of what does the science say? What's the most effective protocol for a person to use whole body vibration?
I'm going to answer it 2 different ways.
Okay.
When you say what's the most effective way of using whole body vibration, I go, what's the best way to build a house?
Sure.
Well, there's lots of ways. It depends. There are lots of papers that have shown 30 hertz, 40 hertz, high amplitude. And what I would tell the people listening, you call Jason, and I'm going to tell you 35 hertz low amplitude, but don't ask me for a protocol. Go to the PowerPlate app, and they have 1,000 different exercises. They have online programs for different groups, from Parkinson's to multiple sclerosis to those who are at the highest level of athletic performance. Everything across a continuum of fitness and physicality. They have programs and protocols for each of those individuals. The most important thing, as in all exercise, and I'm going to say this in a polite way, just use it. I mean, we can talk about it, but if someone says, is it better for 30 or 35 hertz?
Yeah.
No, it's better that you get on the darn thing and use it, because the difference between 30 and 35 hertz is small. And much more important is that not only will you like it when you're on it, but you'll want to come back. And if you use it as part of a 3-month, 6-month, a year program, you're going to get better. That's the most important part. We know that it works so well for so many individuals, get on, and then we'll tweak it based upon your individual needs. If 35 hertz doesn't feel right, we can lower it down. If you need to do more massage as opposed to endurance training, you might go up to 45 or 50 hertz. So depending on how someone presents and what their needs are, we can adjust the intensity of the workout, both in frequency, time, duration, and then the particular exercise mode.
I love it. You answered it exactly like a clinician would. There is no perfect. Every day, every person is a little bit different, and you're just constantly using it and then tweaking as you go.
One of the best things about whole body vibration is that when they use vibration, they feel better.
Mm-hmm.
And when they leave, they go, oh my God, I can move my shoulders. My lower back doesn't hurt.
Mm-hmm.
My hip is fine. My feet aren't as swollen, whatever their presentation is.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get that, that's golden.
Well, I really like how you put that. And my thought is, based on what you were saying earlier about keeping skaters ready in between gaps in their performance, and then people feeling so much better and performing better in their ADLs after using it. If everybody had a whole body vibration machine in their house and they were doing this on a daily basis, doesn't that mean that they're more prepared, body is able to function better, they're less likely to fall, and they're setting themselves up for that on a daily basis every single day?
Can you think of anything better for lifetime of fitness?
I think it's fascinating.
If you would get one of the home units, doesn't take up a lot of space. Our clients use the larger units in our clinic, but then quite often they like to get a smaller unit for their home because they learn how to use it, but it doesn't take up as much space. Mm-hmm. One of our biggest clinic is in downtown Chicago. There's a lot of high rises. And the smaller units can be used on a floor, and the person down below isn't going to be complaining that the floor is shaking. Okay. So it has lots of adaptability.
That's great.
But,
so I do have a question.
Please.
Safety considerations or contraindications for people using whole body vibration. What does that look like?
So I'm going to answer two different ways. Doing exercise is safer than not doing exercise.
100%.
Doing a low intensity amount of exercise is safer than going out and turning it up to full blast. So we follow the American College of Sports Medicine guidelines. If you're so disabled that you can't stand on your own, if you've just had surgery, if you have uncontrolled hypertension, if you have uncontrolled cardiovascular disease, I don't want you in our facility anyway. We want you in a different kind of clinic. But if your doctor says, you know what, you got to start moving. We got to start dealing with what's going on with your body. Or if you're fed up with taking opioids, where you're just taking pain pills to kill the pain, and you say, I want to physically do something, the literature is very clear. Doing something with movement is a lot safer than not doing something. Now, would I put someone on a whole body vibration unit the day after he or she has a hip replacement or knee replacement? No, I wouldn't. But I wouldn't have them on a treadmill or doing leg extension exercises either. There has to be a healing process. But would I have it part of the strategy for how I'm going to get them back to full functional performance at maybe the 6th, 8th, or 10th, 12th week? Absolutely. With every client, we have an individualized plan, and it's a great tool. It is a wonderful tool, but it's not the only tool. And with every one of our clients, we send a small note back to their doctor and say, this is what we're going to do. Seldom, very seldom, will a doctor even respond saying, no, I don't want that. They basically go, well, how does that work?
Mhm.
Can you really do that?
Yeah,
And that's we love those kind of conversations.
sure.
Um, do I think it's safe? Absolutely. Do I have it in my home? Do I have it in each of my kids' homes? Do I have it in my clinics? Do I ask my clients to get units to take from smaller units so they can continue the program when they stop seeing me as a clinician? The answer is yes. That's how much I believe in it.
That's awesome. Well,
And
you
I'm
hit
not on the payroll. I'm not on the payroll of a company. I don't get paid for saying that. I do it because I believe it, because I know that it works. And all I want is my clients to feel better and perform better.
Well, I appreciate the transparency, and actually, that's exactly why I wanted to talk to you about it. You touched on a second ago, Jason, that I had one of my the members of my community reached out and said, "Is my downstairs neighbor going to hate me?" So you said that you can actually safely use this in an upstairs apartment, and your downstairs neighbor is in fact not going to hate you.
We have our unit is on the 19th floor of a high rise in downtown Chicago,
Okay.
where our clinic is, and we have zero complaints about from the accounting company that's below us.
Oh,
So
fantastic.
so
So I hope you can touch on just my audience is pretty cut and dry, and if you can touch on a little bit, what are the competitive options out there, and they of course want to know what is the best unit available, and what makes it the best.
so best is relative to the needs of the individual.
Okay.
There are a couple smaller units that are used for home environment, which I have in my home. There's something called the personal plate or the move. They're relatively easy to pick up. They're not very heavy. You take them out of the box and plug it in, and it's ready to go. And unless you have a specific need, like you're 400 pounds or you truly don't have the capacity for balance, they work for almost every home and non-clinical environment. And I don't make a commission if people buy units. That's a good thing. I want them to know I do research. At the back of every single article, I tell them exactly who's paying for the research, if it's being funded. Um, this is something that people should try. And if they try it, I'm almost sure they're going to go, I need to have this as part of my routine.
That's awesome. Well, I love your high integrity, and if you would just let my audience know where they can find you, a website, or how can people get in touch with you?
So our website is ascendchc.com, ASCENDCHC.com. The CHC stands for Comprehensive Healthcare.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and for sharing this powerful information with my audience.
It's a pleasure, and I hope we get to meet personally.
I do as well. You take good care.
Thanks. Have a great day. Be well.
Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Now remember, not all whole body vibration is created equal. The key to getting the most amount of benefit in the least amount of time is that triplanar motion. And I can tell you beyond a shadow of doubt, having used so many different plates over the years, that Power Plate is the leader far and away when it comes to this. They also give you the ability to adjust the frequency and the amplitude at which the plate moves, which is critically important for fine-tuning the workout to your needs, just like Dr. Conviser was talking about. Now, with the publishing of this video, they have their Easter sale going on, where you can get 20% off plus free shipping on their most popular home use unit, the Power Plate Move. You can use the links down below to access that special pricing, and we'll see you guys next week.